This is High Vibe TV, the uncensored, guided, and community-based video TV network with content recorded and live streamed from the world-famous High Vibe TV studios. High Vibe TV delivers daily, weekly, and special programs focused on astrology, spirituality, history, community, and more. This is not your run-of-the-mill astrology and tarot. This is the future of spirituality, illuminating new ways the collective can step into the dawning of this exciting new dimension. The highest vibe is truth, and the truth always prevails. Download our awesome app on the Apple and Android stores so you don't miss our notifications, with special spiritual insights curated to the energy of the universe. Search for us on your TV with our exciting TV apps on Apple TV and Roku. Catch our vibe on your computer, where you can join in on the live chat with our amazing community and blog. Watch spirituality like you've never seen before. Download our apps or go to highvibe.tv. Subscribe now.
I'm curious as to your thoughts about what's going on with Jordan Peterson, because they're threatening his license for retweeting anti-Trudeau tweets, and they're demanding that he take re-education. They haven't
social media,
listed a limit, for social media training. First of all, I love him because he's just like, I will not do it. So he's appealing and doing all the things. But I watched him do an interview with a young blonde girl, and I say she's a young blonde girl. She's a woman, blonde, but she looks to be in her 20s, maybe early 30s. I'm a terrible guess of age. But she said, I can't imagine being the person to try and re-educate you. He goes, oh no, that wouldn't be a good time for them. And he goes, can you imagine trying to re-educate me? One of us would come out re-educated and it wouldn't be me. I just love him. I think he's a fucking gangster.
I mean, we don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, he's not a practicing psychologist anymore with people, like as far as patients go. So, I mean, of course, it's really, I think, exposing the way that this idea that I accomplished school, I got my degrees, and I will keep them forever is showing you that no, it's not. That wherever the body is that you get that from, the institution that you got that from, and how the governments are in very deep with funding and so forth to the collegiate, and the academies, that you don't, that's not your degree. That is the degree of the place in which you are taught. And if they don't agree with how you are, then they can pull it from you.
Oh, so apparently the blonde girl he was talking to, that was his daughter. Thank you, Andrew and Whitney. I didn't realize.
Kayla.
Yeah. But,
so, like it's not going to take away what he's done or anything like that. And it's not like people are going to say he's not a psychologist. I mean, like, because he's still going to have all those things and all his lectures and all his stuff. I mean, it's just kind of like, I think that he's doing the right thing to fight it, right? But if they do end up taking away from it, But
that sets a really scary precedent. So if you are a doctor or a psychologist or anyone, you're all of a sudden not allowed to criticize government.
It's like your bar, if you take the bar to be a lawyer and you do a crime, they take away your license
but he hasn't committed a crime. This is about him tweeting about.
Of course, I'm just saying that this isn't anything new. It's just new because it's a high-profile figure, and he's exposing it. But a good example is if you're a teacher and you get caught doing these crazy things, right? They take away your ability to teach.
Well, it's fine if you've committed a crime and you've done something.
I get it, but in their point of view, that's why I'm trying to say is the idea of the system to go to school is poor when you already don't even have the ability to control it, because you are always going to be controlled, and that's why you see the academic field always saying things in line. Same thing with doctors, right? So, and he is a doctor, so it's a doctorate, right? So that doctorate can always be pulled no matter what the issue is. Same thing with a lawyer, and when they take the bar, that could be taken from you too. That happens in court cases a lot.
Well, I find that wrong. I understand if it's a crime. So obviously if you're a teacher and you do something to harm a student or inappropriate towards a student or something to endanger any of those students, Absolutely, yank their teaching license. If a lawyer does something unethical and gets caught committing a crime or anything like that, great. But as a doctor, and again, if you're abusing drugs, if you do something to a patient.
Yeah, but that's because the government funds these academies.
Yeah, well, this is fucked up, and this is what needs to shift.
It's not going to shift, though.
Well,
that's the thing.
I'm just saying. I disagree.
Again, are we going to live in a society where we make institutions of these academia as the only way to be a doctor? Of course, we need standards, but at the same time, if we're really going to be in a world of freedom, then once you're that, right? But again, like that's where the lines are weirdly going to be redrawn, as you just said, in Brazil, right? The Supreme Court there won't let right-wing politicians step into office.
Well,
because
they've asked.
of it.
I don't know that it's actually happened yet.
Okay.
But.
So that's where they could be rewriting the laws now, saying if you are not being of the oaths that you take to be a psychologist, right? In that, I think it was University of Toronto, he was a psychologist, and he was he was a professor at, that they could be rechanging the laws within the body there of the academic, and they could pull it because it might be changing ethical standards. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that that's why people who followed the system will fail. Pluto and Capricorn.
So
like think of George Washington. He was a captain in the British Army and fought for the British, and then when he dissented and became part of he became the commander and the leader of the Continental Army in 1775. Before the Declaration of Independence, the British stripped his captain authority away. Did it harm him? No. He just became now the commander of the Continental Army. So, in Jordan Peterson's case, does he even want to be connected with those people? Like,
look,
it's like a cord.
He probably doesn't, but I'm sure for him this is. I think for both sides they have something at stake. If they can bring down Jordan Peterson, then
bring him down. I mean,
no. In terms of strip him of his license or whatever, I don't know what his deal is. But if they can make an example of him, then everybody that doesn't quite measure up to his standards but works in the same field, they can take down if they don't.
That's what the astrology community did to me, and I created this.
Right. And I understand he can still function and make money from different ways. He's got his books and things like that. For other people, so this isn't actually about Jordan Peterson. This is about making an example of him to make everyone else fall in line. And for him,
was that the whole time?
Of course. But for him,
before COVID and before any of this.
But for him, this is. It's like, well, no, you're not going to win this because you're morally and ethically wrong in what you're doing to me. And so he will fight just to win for the sake of winning. Because you're right, he can continue to earn money and operate with them taking that away, but so many others can't. So it's going to be a very important battle, in my humble opinion.
I actually don't think so. I think if he does get it stripped away and how he deals with it and owns whatever he does next to show that having a degree like that is not power. That the fact that people look up to it as like, oh, you're more special because you have that, right? So it's like, think of this whole COVID thing. The people who, because it's like everybody's like, but this person's a doctor, this person's a virologist, this person's a toxicologist, this person's a this. It gives them what? Some more special viewpoint of it, right? It should be about who's got viewpoints that actually can make sense. That's part of the problem, is the gatekeepers are the institutions like this. Whereas when America was made, it wasn't about that. It wasn't about any of that shit. It became a point to where it was like, if you signed the Declaration of Independence, it wasn't because what college you went to or how well educated you were. It was about how well you knew how to do things and how well you knew how to step for freedom and put your humanness on the line, right? So like that's more triumphant than a degree. If anything, a degree to me doesn't do anything. If anything, I usually look at people with degrees and I usually go, haven't experienced much life.
Yeah.
Haven't not, including Jordan Peterson. His life has been constantly just doing lectures and doing things and always had to study and do things and follow the narrative of the schools and do all these things and make sure that he doesn't say this in his practice. And that's why people come to me for astrology readings or astrologers, because I don't have to follow a guideline rule where I can make a prediction for you, or I can say, maybe I would advise you not to do this. Whereas in clinical psychology, when you're dealing with the patient, you're not allowed to say what your advice is, except for saying a very ways for you to make the choice yourself and not to really give too much advice, but just be kind of hearing you and kind of like, trying to help you realize things on your own. Right. So it's one of those things to where, whether it's the medical journals now and all that stuff, you got to have that title and you need to get in there. Whereas, that's because of people like Sir Isaac Newton, right? Like, and of course, Sir Isaac Newton, right? He became a fucking knighted, right? Because they wanted to make science and that kind of academia a new thing that the monarch did. Where like before, it wasn't like they were taking people who had that, right? Like Nostradamus was like left and is more well known than Jordan Peterson will be. So,
and I understand what you're saying, and
to be honest, I feel sad for people in that line, because it's like they have not experienced their life. They have not crossed borders that they normally wouldn't. They have not done those things that make you more robust in the human experience, because they're so guidelined into, this is what I must do after high school for the next 8 years to 10 years. And I must do dissertations and I must do all these things. And they lose in that part of their life the ability to be free expression. That's why, like Dr. Timothy Leary, do you think that they kept calling him doctor, or that he kept going to do using his doctorate when they kicked him out of Harvard? Timothy Leary is amazing because of the fact that he fuck you motherfuckers. All right, you guys don't want to have me doing your research on LSD and on psychedelics anymore? Great. Let me go up to Millbrook. Let me just take a house and just fucking do this shit myself and create a whole revolution and use the media and open up the psychedelic conversation and become well known more than any doctor or doctorate at Harvard in the 60s. And 70s and 80s and 90s. None of these people are going to be remembered.
Well, not none of them.
None of them. Remember, it's 0.0001%.
All right.
And they're not doctors. The only one that is a doctor is Hippocrates, Sir Isaac Newton, who had a doctorate. Go down the list of people you actually know in history that are about their doctorate.
Well,
it's the smallest amount.
It also depends what
military commanders are more better known.
It depends what your interests are. If you're someone that's interested in medical history and medical things and things like that, you're going to know some of these people. But the reality is, and there's a bunch of people in the comments that have said it before I had a chance to, would you go and see a doctor that hadn't gone and gotten his degree or his doctorate or done the study? I understand what you're saying about degrees and all that and finding your way in the world and what have you. But if you're going to a surgeon, you want someone who knows what the fuck they're doing. You're not going to go lie on a table for someone that hasn't studied and gone to one of these schools and all of that.
So Leonardo da Vinci was doing his own autopsies and drawing the human body. He wasn't a doctorate.
Yeah, autopsies, they're already dead.
But I'm just saying that he knew more about what was going on with the human body than any doctor did in the 1400s.
Yes.
In his journals and in his way. I would have gone and talked to him. People who are saying that here, why aren't you all on Rick Levine's channel right now? Or why are you not on anybody who went to Kepler College like Chris Brennan? Because they don't expand the astrology at all.
It's fine, but they're...
So that would be like saying, why is everybody here to listen to my astrology since I didn't go to Kepler College? Or I'm not going to Oxford to get a master's degree in astrology.
But
that's the only two places to go. So, like...
But I'm not saying for all things. I'm not saying to be an astrologer you have to go to a school. I'm not saying to work in PR you've got to go and do the 4-year university course that they will tell you that you need to get. I'm saying there are certain professions where, yes, you need to at least study, and there aren't opportunities in this current age to get the knowledge, to cut up bodies, to learn all the things about anatomy.
Because it was a system put in place. So
correct.
Of course, I have no other option. The only doctors that you can go see are people that have doctorates, because the system won't even allow anybody else.
Yeah.
Right? So there's no other, so that's not a question, because you can't actually, there is no other choice.
Okay, but
right? But I'm saying, what if you were in a world where every hospital chose based off not doctorate and set their own protocols for who's the best, and they studied on their own?
How are you going to get people that are going to be the best if they can't?
What, you think they have to go to a certain school?
What if you're going to chop me up?
Okay,
I'm
so
thinking,
every
yes.
major innovation and discovery came from somebody who went against the grain of what is taught.
Yes, and I agree with that.
That's how we found electricity.
Yes,
that's how we found. I mean, I can go on for millions of fucking subjects, right? So it's the people who go against it that create the innovation that years and even centuries later finally follow it.
I completely agree with that.
So why do people go to stem cell doctors that are not doctors that do stem cell research in other countries and not here? Why do people go get their fucking butt and their fucking titties done down in South America and not here as much? Same thing.
But also, have you seen how many of those come back fucked up?
And I see
with all sorts of poison and all of that.
Millions of people who are dying and fucked up from the same institutions that are pushing the shot more than that.
No, and I agree with that.
Right.
And I also agree that, let's say a doctor that I was going to regularly, if she got or he got his license revoked because he did something that was anti-COVID, hypothetically, I would still go and see that doctor. The issue then becomes obviously that you can't get medications through them or whatever, but they can certainly give you advice and all of that. And yes, you're right, they would have to find a different path to be able to help people and all of that. It's not that I'm saying they have to have the doctorate in this moment for me to be able to even see you or talk to you or trust you.
Right.
I totally get it. And yes, I agree that Jordan Peterson will be fine even if he doesn't have his doctorate. It's the principle of the fucking thing. These people have done the work. He hasn't done anything that is actually wrong. So
right. So I'm saying it's a Timothy Leary moment. He can be the next Timothy Leary, or he can whine and complain like he does sometimes, like a little bitch, and fucking own it and just be like, all right, then fuck you, and let me go fucking make a revolution. But he's whining and complaining. All his Twitter is all day is every little thing about it.
Oh, okay, so I haven't seen that.
That's all it is right now.
Okay, so the interviews I've seen, though, or him speaking, it hasn't been whiny at all.
Go be a fucking Timothy Leary, you know what I mean?
But I also think that fighting back and defending your position is a strong thing to do. Fuck you, you're not going to steamroll me.
Yeah, but that's weak because Timothy Leary rose above that and defended it by actually putting out information that went into debates publicly and made the institutions look horrible.
Okay, but also if he goes in and he's able to fight this in court and he wins and makes the government look fucking ridiculous.
It's not big enough. Timothy Leary is way bigger than Jordan Peterson ever will be. Go look it up. Go do the studies. Go watch the debates. He already went through that. He already went through it. Got banished out of Harvard and did way more because of it and is known throughout the world because of it. Without that, we would never even understand the psychedelic effect or the tuning in and tuning out and the idea of tuning out this matrix and to break out of all these institutions. The fact that he's still trying to hold on to it is his problem.
This is High Vibe TV, the uncensored, guided, and community-based video TV network with content recorded and live streamed from the world-famous High Vibe TV studios. High Vibe TV delivers daily, weekly, and special programs focused on astrology, spirituality, history, community, and more. This is not your run-of-the-mill astrology and tarot. This is the future of spirituality, illuminating new ways the collective can step into the dawning of this exciting new dimension. The highest vibe is truth, and the truth always prevails. Download our awesome app on the Apple and Android stores so you don't miss our notifications with special spiritual insights curated to the energy of the universe. Search for us on your TV with our exciting TV apps on Apple TV and Roku. Catch our vibe on your computer where you can join in on the live chat with our amazing community and blog. Watch spirituality like you've never seen before. Download our apps or go to highvibe.tv. Subscribe now.